Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you how I painted this yummy ice cream cone. The pigments that I used are raw sienna, burnt sienna, cadmium yellow, dioxazine violet, raw umber and permanent rose. First I used the moldable eraser to take off the excess graphite, and then I took my synthetic round brush number 10 to apply a glaze of water. I was very intentional on applying this glaze of water because the weather is quite hot now and the paper dries super fast. So to create the color of a vanilla ice cream, first I applied a dilute layer of cadmium yellow, and then I used my round brush to spread it all over the ice cream part. In order to create variations in color, tones and temperature, for this I mixed cadmium yellow with permanent rose, and also I created a mixture for the shadow areas, very dilute mixture. I added the complementary color of cadmium yellow, that is violet color, to create a very dilute shadow color. For this painting I decided that my source of light was on the left top side, therefore the right side would be in shadow. I am applying shadow colors, very dilute mixture, on the right side and at the bottom of the ice cream. Then every now and then I took a small amount of very dilute mixture of cadmium yellow with permanent rose to create variations in the color on the ice cream. Now to paint the cone itself, first I applied a glaze of water on the whole of the cone. So the idea is to paint this whole cone in such a way that the sides on the left and the right are both a little bit darker and the middle area is lighter in color, so that it gives us a visual effect of roundness of the cone. For this, the main color that I'm going to use for the cone is raw sienna, but also I'm going to use raw umber on the sides of the cone to give it a darker look. So first I started by applying a very dilute layer of raw sienna on the whole of the cone, and then I started applying raw umber, which is a shadow color, on both the left and the right extremes of the cone. And then slowly I extend the colors from both left and right towards the center with my damp brush, leaving the central area the lightest color possible. So after painting the whole cone, I waited for a couple of minutes to let the paper start to dry. When the sheen on the paper started to go, I took my round brush number 3, a little bit damp, not dry, and then started to lift the colors. So I have sped up this section so that you can see what I've done, but since it is the repetition of the same process and it's many repetitions, so it will be easier for you to see what I'm trying to achieve here. I'm taking the guidance of my sketch, and wherever I see my sketch lines, I am using my brush to lift the colors exactly there. So to use the lifting technique, you need a damp brush, not dripping wet but just damp brush. For this you can clean the brush, take off the excess moisture on a tissue paper, and then use this damp brush to slide over the pencil marks that you see on your sketch. And then you see that wherever you have passed your brush, you can see the white paper through it. So I went on repeating the same process until I had covered all the lines of my sketch. This is the foundation for the wafer texture that I wanted to create for the ice cream cone. For the wafer texture on the cone, I prepared a mixture of burnt sienna and raw umber. It is quite a dilute mixture. In order to create this wafer texture on the cone, I have to go one section at a time. So first I laid down a little bit of color on two sides of the section, of every section, and then I used the damp brush to spread the paint around, and always trying to create a little bit of variation in the color. Also on both the left and right corners of the wafer, wherever there was a small section of the wafer texture, I applied darker color so that it would look like more in the shadow. So once the painting was completely dry, I used my eraser to erase all the pencil lines that were visible, especially in the cone area where I'd drawn with multiple pencil lines to create the wafer texture. Now I mixed a thicker consistency shadow color, that is cadmium yellow with dioxazine violet but with lot less water. I also applied this shadow color, thicker consistency, under the areas where the ice cream had started to drip. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please share, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next week with a new tutorial. Bye for now.